carbs are the devil, they're evil, they make you fat, all that kind of stuff. I'm thinking, if this is so good for me, why am I reacting to all the good stuff, and what the heck am I going to eat instead? You figure out what works for you, and then that's it. I toasted up a piece of sourdough, put some fried egg and melted cheese on top, and had it. And I was so happy. And guys, I didn't even know I had the food noise. I did not realize what that was. Whenever I heard people talking about it, I'm like, food noise? What do you mean by that? Oh my gosh, it was incredible. I feel food freedom in the real sense of I can have fruit and not feel guilty. I can have oatmeal and know that I'm okay. I'm not here to sell you any supplements or any way of eating. I'm just in this, I don't know, for discovery and experiment, I guess. Hey everyone, just finished a 20-minute walk after my dinner and thought I'd come outside and finally record this video. This video's been a long time coming, and if you don't know my story, I'll just give a quick, brief summary about it. So my name is Jen Winkler. I'm a functional health and hormone coach, and I got into this coaching business because I started keto for my epilepsy originally 8 years ago. And it was very successful, and I got off of a lot of medication. I'm on a very low dose now. But yeah, it was very successful. It helps with my PCOS, with my insulin resistance, and I lost 80 pounds and just felt incredible. And I thought for that moment, this is what I'm going to do for life because I feel so incredible. Then eventually I thought about doing carnivore, and I felt really good doing carnivore, eliminating more. But then eventually something else happened, and things weren't working as great as they should. One of the things I was struggling with was constant stomach pain, and it would happen right around this area, about an hour to 2 after I eat, especially the protein and fat heavy meals. And I did have a severe case of pancreatitis when I was younger due to my medications. So I thought, well, maybe something's going on with my pancreas. And then I dug down deeper and learned most likely it was low stomach acid and poor stomach lining. So I took lots of different supplements to help with that. And it did until it didn't. And then things got worse, and then they got better, and then they got worse. And I just came to this point realizing it shouldn't be this way, right? Whatever way I should be eating shouldn't be causing me pain on and off. Another thing was I eventually just started gaining weight again. And I tried all the different things that people suggest on carnivore. I tried going dairy-free. I tried doing a short bit of lion. I tried fasting, and I tried all the different types of fasting. But nothing would budge the weight. And it was this weight here, which then I realized this is probably cortisol issues. So I got my cortisol checked, and sure enough, it was not high, but it was flatline low. Not completely flatlined. I had a tiny little bump. The other things I had tried was doing a lot of circadian rhythm stuff. So the past 3 years, I've been waking up and looking at sunlight pretty religiously. I'd say 95% of the time I was out here for morning sunlight. I started doing morning walks. I stopped fasting so much. I was eating my breakfast, all those kind of things. And while that did help with some energy, it wasn't helping with the weight loss. And to backtrack a minute, so the stomach pain, the last time I had that stomach pain was last summer, and it was really bad. And it ended up being some kind of ulcer stuff. So was on conventional, certain over-the-counter medications and prescription medications and stuff to try and fix that. Now, during that time, I could not eat protein and I could not eat fat. Not because the doctor said, but because I was getting a PTSD from how bad this pain was. So my diet was very bland. It was your basic brat diet: applesauce, toast, bananas, rice. And I think I was doing very small amounts of protein with it, but not much. What was very interesting during that time was I didn't gain any weight. But I didn't lose any weight either. I just stayed steady. And I took that in the back of my mind to just be okay, what's going on here? So then I also a couple years ago, and this is all completely out of order, so I'm sorry, but I have been horrible at giving updates on here. So I'm trying to like pull it all together here. A few years ago, I worked with a coach to try and bring in some carbs. I wish I could remember why I wanted them back then. It wasn't like I just want junk food. It was literally, I think it was just my innate instinct saying, I don't think I should be carnivore for life. So this coach helped me overcome that fear of carbs that happens often in the keto, carnivore, low carb space. So the problem was when he did it, I did gain like 15 to 20 pounds. And I blamed it on the carbs. And I was like, I'm not continuing with this coach. Forget it. I'm going back to carnivore. And I did. And I did lose some of the weight, but not all. I think I only lost like 5, maybe 8 pounds. It would not budge. So here I am, like even more gung-ho. Carbs are the devil. They're evil. They make you fat. All that kind of stuff. Fast forward to this year. We are in 2025. This is when I figured out I definitely have a cortisol issue. I am constantly in fight or flight. My anxiety had come back, even though keto had helped it. Panic attacks were starting to increase more. And so I started different supplements that I know help. Adaptogens. I have one by Body Bio called Calm. Phosphatidylcholine. Hey, there's a little hummingbird. I love it out here. Okay, squirrel. So I've been doing the supplements, and while they help to a degree in me feeling calm, it wasn't helping completely. So I said, okay, I know it's really important for me to bring in carbs. I started researching, and there's a lot of evidence that whole food carbs help with cortisol disruption and adrenal fatigue. So I said, okay, let me do that. Hey, I'm just adding this quick bit in that I completely forgot to add in on my original video. But one of the biggest things for me that made me have to stop carnivore was I had a huge histamine response, and that completely threw off my hormone balance. I can't believe I forgot to talk about this. But basically, as you know, meats, different type of deli meats, bone broth, a lot of those kind of things have high histamine, and for whatever reason my body decided to become intolerant to it, so I started getting a lot of reactions as well. These typically came in the form of sinus headaches, sinus migraines, things like that, to the point that I'm like, maybe I have MCAS, which is mast cell activation syndrome, but I definitely don't have it as bad as a lot of people do. So I knew all of these animal-based foods that were high in histamine. I'm thinking, if this is so good for me, why am I reacting to all the good stuff, and what the heck am I going to eat instead? So that was a big driver of also shifting things as well. I did do supplementation, things like DAO enzyme, quercetin, things like that to help with the histamine. And while it helped to help it lower, I knew that wasn't the long-term solution. I'm not a believer in supplements for life. Okay, so just wanted to make sure that part was in there, because that was a definite driver to not be eating as much meat as I was. Now, over the past year, I switched from carnivore to more of a keto approach again. So I was doing broccoli, cauliflower. I was doing vegetables, things that are very difficult to binge on, right? And I made sure they were cooked because I don't handle raw vegetables very well. I absolutely love a summer coleslaw. So when I made some, I was excited to have it, but my stomach was not excited, and it caused massive amount of pain. So I'm not saying that people need to eat everything, all the vegetables, all the fruits. You figure out what works for you, and then that's it. So for me, if my veggies are cooked well, I handle them well. So I had already started introducing carbs back. I would say on average, depending on the meal, it was like 20 to 40 grams of carbs a day. And I was handling it great. So I said, okay, let's test this thing out. Now, I heard people doing the sugar diet a few months back. One of my friends was doing it as well, and she was seeing great results. Now, I did not want to do the sugar diet. I did not want to bring in candy and processed junk, right? And she didn't either. So I said, well, what if we use nature's candy? And I know what some of you are thinking. Like, fruit is not what it used to be. The strawberries were like this big, bananas were that big. I get it. I get it. But what's the harm in testing it? That's how I see it. So I did. I started bringing in little by little different fruits. I love my apples. I love my clementines, like the little oranges. And then I was craving kiwis so badly. So I went on a kiwi kick also, and berries, obviously. I've already been incorporating that. And it went really well. Like, I wasn't gaining weight. I was losing weight slowly but surely. And I did make sure this time to lower my fat intake as well. So if I was taking some of those carbs, I'd bring the fat down a little bit. Now, those fruits don't make you go super high carb. The size of the apples are like 15 grams of carbs. The kiwis, I think one kiwi was 10 grams, I believe. And what else was there? The clementines, I can't remember how much, but it was like under 10 grams of carbs. So I still wasn't going super high. It probably boosted my carb intake. I wasn't tracking either. I was just going on intuition. I didn't want to hyper focus on numbers. So if I had to guess, I probably went up about 20 grams again per day. And again, it depends on the meal. If I had yogurt or something like that day, then it boosted up higher. Now, my husband has been incorporating carbs for a long time. And again, I'm going to preface this. Carbs, when I use that word, it is not ultra processed foods. It is your whole single ingredient foods, except for a few things like healthy granola. When I say healthy granola, I mean like real ingredients, seeds and nuts and stuff, nothing with grain. So he's been doing that for a while. We've been getting good quality sourdough bread. And I said, I want to test this out. So one morning I made a meal that I really missed, and I toasted up a piece of sourdough, put some fried egg and melted cheese on top, and had it. And I was so happy. I was so happy. I love sourdough. I really do. And not everybody feels great on it, and that's okay. But for me to figure out, I actually can handle this. I didn't feel any blood sugar spikes or dips. I still had good energy. I still slept great. I haven't had skin issues. I haven't had weight gain. So I said, okay, I can handle sourdough now. So on occasion, I will have sourdough. The next one was oatmeal. We buy really tasty oatmeal from Costco, which is sprouted and glyphosate free. I don't think I would use any other oatmeal because grains, oats, things like that, I am very careful with the sourcing. That one I also handled wonderfully. No issues. So on occasion, I might have a breakfast with oatmeal and put a little bit of protein powder in it. Again, all these things I'm bringing in, I am keeping the fat lower. So I have lowered my fat drastically compared to keto and increased the carbs. Now, one other thing I have done, and I think this is a big key reason why I can handle these carbs better, is because I have worked on my gut health also. So I'm sure my gut health had deteriorated from many years of stress, many years from childhood. So that is something I've been working on, nervous system regulation, but also gut health. And what I did for my gut health was I started working with peptides. I did some research and found peptide of BPC 157, body compound protection, I think. I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert at these because I'm still learning. But BPC 157 as well as KPV. And I took the injections and I did one in the morning, one in the evening of BPC 157, one in the morning of KPV. And I did that for about 6 to 7 weeks. In the beginning, I didn't notice a huge difference. My husband was also doing it. He did notice a big difference in his bloating. So for myself, at first it took a little bit. And then I would say somewhere around week 4 or 5, that's when I realized I have not gotten bloated in a really long time. And I was handling these foods better. So I did it about 6 weeks, and then we went and traveled, went on vacation, So I had about 2 to 3 weeks without any of those peptides, did not notice anything drastic different. But I also wanted to try the oral version because some people say the oral version is better for gut health. So I bought a reputable brand. I used Level Up, and I do have a discount with them because I liked them and it worked for me. So I would say about week 2 or 3 of using the Ultimate GI Repair, I believe it's called, it was like night and day difference. Definitely never bloating, very regular in the bathroom, and no pain happening anymore either. So I'm a firm believer in peptide therapy. Never doubted it before, but now that it has actually helped me, I'm definitely an advocate for those. I was doing some other gut supplements before the peptides as well. So I was doing sodium butyrate, I was doing GI Revive, different things to help the intestinal lining. However, none of them really felt like they were fully healing. They were just keeping the symptoms at bay because when I stopped them, the symptoms would come back. So this one so far, no symptoms have come back. Now, I've always prided myself in being transparent and open and honest with you guys. So I am going to share one other piece of information that I tested something else out as well. One other peptide I tried was tirzepatide, which is a GLP-1 agonist. And the reason I tried it is because I have been on this weight loss journey for 8 years. And after Carnivore, gaining all that weight, when I tried the carbs back then, I knew something still wasn't right. And like I said, I have tried everything and it wasn't working. I also was exercising and resistance training in the gym, lifting heavy so often. Not so often where I was burning myself out, but I was doing it enough, at least 3 times a week. And I mean, many of you that have been following me have seen me post those things in the gym and all that. And it still wasn't budging. I've tracked my macros, everything, guys. So when I did tirzepatide and when I did the research on it, microdosing helps with inflammation. It's not necessarily for a weight loss aspect, but indirectly it can happen if you lower your inflammation, right? So I started very, very low. I'm talking 0.25 milligrams, which is extremely low for tirzepatide. Didn't feel one thing different. So the next week I went up to 0.5. Okay, I could feel a little bit of a difference, and then went to 0.75. So it was right around there that I could feel the food noise calming down. And guys, I didn't even know I had the food noise. I did not realize what that was. Whenever I heard people talking about it, I'm like, food noise? What do you mean by that? Oh my gosh, it was incredible. Like, it would be lunchtime and I said, oh, I should eat some lunch. And I would eat and I would be satisfied. Oh, it's dinner time. I should eat something. And then I would eat and be satisfied. It was incredible. And then the inflammation definitely started going down. At that point, it went down about 3 pounds in 1 week. It wasn't all fat because my clothes were still fitting the same, but it was just the scale moved. And I'm like, this is doing something in my body. Incredible. So then I went up to 1 milligram because the 0.75 wasn't working anymore. And at the 1 milligram, I think was my sweet spot. It was there that I started losing about 0.5 pound each week, which at my weight, I think is a really good steady amount. You don't want to go too fast, right? I was at 152 when I started, somewhere around there. And then I was losing about half, sometimes almost a pound a week. And I ended up at 139. And I did stop. So I did about 7 or 8 weeks of tirzepatide and then I stopped. And again, I'm going to be honest with you as to why I stopped. I'm not going to promote these things like they're gold. They're great for a lot of people. But for me, I needed to work on my gut health before I did this. And I knew that going in. I knew that. But I was just too impatient and I wanted to try it. So because of those things I mentioned earlier, the stomach pain that I was getting before, once it got better, I was like, okay, it's probably fine. But when I took the tirzepatide, I was getting those pains again. Not as severely, but it was like a gnawing pain instead of a sharp pain. and I knew. So luckily I already had the tools in my toolbox. I knew what supplements to take to make it feel better, and it did. But that just told me, you know what? This is not for me, at least not now. And so I stopped that. It has been, oh my goodness, it has been, I believe, 5 to 6 weeks. I might be wrong, but I think it's like 5 to 6 weeks since my last dose. And I have not gained any weight. The food noise is not coming back. I'm having carbs and I'm feeling good. Again, carbs from fruit and vegetables, just saying. And I just feel good. I feel good, guys. Like, I sleep well. I don't feel restricted. I feel food freedom in the real sense of I can have fruit and not feel guilty. I can have oatmeal and know that I'm okay. I know what foods don't work for me, so I stay away from them. Certain ultra-processed foods. I don't categorize carbs as one big thing, right? Like, there's carbs in eggs, there's carbs in dairy, there's carbs in a lot of carnivorous foods, but those don't set most people off, I should say. So I make sure I get carbs from whole foods that are not going to set me off. I'll put it that way. So, okay, now I bet you're probably wondering, how is your health though? You say you feel good and your weight is down, but how is your health? Well, I got some blood work done. At the time of this recording, I haven't gotten all the results, but I'll share with you what I've gotten so far. My fasting insulin was a 3. I'll put it here. My fasting insulin was a 3 and my glucose was 81. I have never in my keto time or carnivore time had a fasting glucose of 81. I have never during my carnivore keto time had a fasting insulin of 3. So my mind's a little blown. Some of you might say, well, you are on the GLP-1, so that's going to affect it. Maybe it did. But still, even if, I mean, the half-life is 5 days. It's been over a month. I don't think it would have affected it that much. I'm always open to correction. But even if it did, using the tools that I needed to help, great. So right now, it's a fasting insulin of 3. I'm waiting on my A1C, but I'm assuming that'll be good because the insulin is down and the glucose was 81. My liver enzymes are fantastic at 21 and I think 23. For me, that is fantastic. Functionally, I like them between 10 and 20. But considering I have had a very long history of liver enzymes in the 40s and 50s, I will take 21 and 23 any day. I am very happy with that. Kidneys are great. Everything else looks good. I'm waiting on my thyroid markers because that's another reason I was shifting my diet is my T3 went too low and I was getting hypothyroid symptoms, losing my hair, things like that, even though I was eating enough. So I'm waiting on those numbers. If I do have them by the time I publish this, you'll see them here. Okay, another little add-on was that I got the rest of my lab results in, so I do want to share those numbers with you. And I am comparing from 1 year ago to now. So my A1C 1 year ago was 5.2 on a very low carb ketogenic approach, and now it's 4.8. My insulin was a 5.8 last year, and now it's a 3. My thyroid, TSH, was normal at 1.48, and it is down to 0.86, which is still okay because my free T3 used to be 2.1. It always ranged between 1.9 and 2.1. It is now at a 2.8. We want it between 3 and 5. I am just like blown away. My thyroid is finally getting better. My reverse T3 used to be 15.8, which is just a tidbit above the range. I didn't test it this time. I'm waiting to do like a full comprehensive before I order those extra markers. So these were just a few check-in points. One other thing I did was my lipid panel because I wanted to see if those numbers steer in the wrong direction. So my LDL a year ago was 214 and this time it was 138, a lot better. My HDL was 78, it's down to 69. I'm not really concerned that much of a difference because it fluctuates moment to moment and it's still in a very healthy range. My triglycerides were 101 and they are down to 68. And total cholesterol went from 309 down to 223. These are all in a year difference. Again, been shifting things slowly over this past year. And I'm going to keep monitoring this. I'm going to keep monitoring my lab numbers, my health numbers, how I feel, all the data. So if you're wanting to see where this ends up, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. I am an open book. I'm not here to sell you any supplements or any way of eating. I'm just in this, I don't know, for discovery and experiment, I guess. So yeah, that's kind of my carb story right now. Oh, the hummingbird's back. We need to fill that water. I wish I could turn the camera around and you could see it. They're so beautiful. Yeah, so that's my carb story, why I'm bringing fruits back in, vegetables back in, things like that. I don't think I said, but I'm about 100 to 115 grams of carbs each day right now. I don't know if I'll do this forever. I don't know where I will be in the future with it. All I know is I'm testing it out, and right now I feel good, and I don't have a problem with it. In my podcast with my friend Nora, Hot Takes and Hard Truths, we are talking about this topic right now, so we have a whole episode about who can benefit from bringing carbs back in and how to do it properly. Just a basic 101 lesson there. And then we have another episode coming up after that speaks of both Nora and my journey bringing the carbs back in. So if you want to check those out, go down in my YouTube channel and you can find those videos in the podcast area. That's kind of the food side of my life update. Really quickly, another big aspect in our life, like I mentioned earlier, is that we are fostering now. We are officially foster parents. We got licensed back in April. We got this placement, and he is an incredible kid. Just so good. So good. He is so funny and intelligent and curious, and he loves to learn. And him and Isaac have been getting along great. I would say about now, the 3-week mark, the honeymoon period is starting to wane off, and typical sibling rivalry is occurring, mostly from my kiddo. And I think part of it is a little bit of jealousy, right? Because it used to be only him, and now there's another kid that he has to share mom and dad time with. It has been wonderful. There's obviously challenges in this aspect, but I think we've been really blessed with this placement, and it's been a perfect fit with our family, seeing how him and Isaac have a lot of things in common, a lot of things they like that are similar. And I think he's also helping Isaac learn some stuff and vice versa. So it's been really interesting to watch that dynamic. The other night, he actually came to me to give me a hug. I was in my room and trying to finish up some work, and he came over and just gave me a big hug. And I said, hey, I'll be right there in the room, because I thought he thought I wasn't going to be coming for bedtime story. I said, I'll be right there. He said, oh, I know. I just wanted to give you a hug because I really like you. Y'all, that just warmed my heart so much. And then you all know my faith. I have a love for Christ and a love for my faith, and he's been asking questions about it. So I've been sharing it with him and different aspects of our faith, and he loves learning, and he has learned his prayers now, and he is learning all about his guardian angel and all this stuff, and it's just so beautiful, to the point where, I'll try not to cry on this one, but to the point where yesterday, when he was having some time coloring and drawing, he drew a beautiful picture of a sun in the corner, I think grass on the ground, and in the middle, cross. And from the cross was radiating blue and yellow. We don't have that picture anywhere in our house, so that was strictly from his imagination. And he slid it under my bedroom door and gave it to me and knocked on the door and said, Jen, something's under there for you. And I picked it up and I said, did you draw this for me? He said, yeah, it's Jesus's cross. I have to share the reason, I was going to do this on a separate video, but the reason we decided to start fostering is because we have struggled with secondary infertility for years, and for whatever reason, God has not blessed us with another child. So we decided to go to foster in order to try to adopt, if that was his will. Now, I don't know if that's his will with this child or not. I don't know if he will be reunified with mom and dad, But it's incredible the way God will guide us to follow his will for us. And then in the midst of that, change our hearts. Because even if this child reunites with his mother and dad, I am just so happy he's been in our lives. In a mere 3 weeks, the way he has changed us and helped us to love more and help us to see just like this whole new world is incredible. And if I have been able to plant just this one seed with him to help him know who Jesus Christ is and who Christ is for him, and how he is always there helping him and guide him and watching over him and protecting him, then I think I have done what God has called me to do. There's a lot happening here in my life, a lot of changes, a lot of growth between food and motherhood and I don't know, so many things. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope this update has been beneficial in some way, and if it has, please like, comment, subscribe. I will be doing more of these in the future, especially with all these changes. I'm going to keep you up to date on how the carb stuff is going, on how the fostering's going, and anything else. Now, if you don't agree with anything I've said, leave. No, I'm just kidding. Feel free to throw those comments in there if you want. I know you won't stop anyways, but just know I'm not saying what I'm doing is for everybody. I'm saying this is what's working for me, and that to be a good scientist and to be a good researcher, you have to understand both sides. You have to be able to research things from where your stance is, but also research the other sides and be able to understand both, I guess is what you could say. And that's kind of what I've been doing with plant-based, is I've just been researching to understand, why do I see some plant-based people so healthy and muscular? Like, what am I missing? I just want to understand that. But through that research and understanding, I've been able to learn more as well and try to find that balance. So that's it. That's my update. I hope you guys have a fantastic week.